India is standing at a defining moment in its foreign policy and economic strategy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a high-stakes visit to Japan. And this trip is not just another diplomatic handshake or ceremonial photo opportunity. It is a carefully crafted mission with a clear purpose: to secure massive Japanese investment and long-term supply deals that could transform India's economy, strengthen its industries, and give New Delhi a powerful edge in a rapidly changing global order. The timing is critical. As U.S. tariffs on Indian exports double and economic pressure rises, Japan's partnership is emerging as a lifeline, and this visit could redefine the trajectory of Indo-Pacific geopolitics. When people hear the phrase investment deals, they often imagine just numbers on paper. But what Modi is trying to achieve here is far more strategic. This is about channeling tens of billions of dollars into clean energy, semiconductors, green hydrogen, electric mobility, and critical supply chains. It's about positioning India as the factory floor of the world while reducing dependence on China. It's about securing supplies of rare earth minerals and cutting-edge technologies that India needs to stay competitive in the 21st century. This is not a short-term negotiation. It is a generational opportunity. To understand why this Japan visit matters so much, we need to step back and look at the global stage. The United States is hitting India with tariffs, doubling duties on steel, textiles, and other exports. Europe is pushing carbon taxes on imports. China is weaponizing trade and trying to dominate the Indo-Pacific. Against this backdrop, Japan emerges as a trusted partner, a fellow democracy, and a technology powerhouse that India can rely on. The Modi government knows that no nation can grow in isolation anymore. It must build alliances that are not only political, but also economic and technological. Japan, on its part, sees India as an essential partner too. With its aging population and shrinking workforce, Japan is looking outward to secure new markets, new partners, and reliable allies. India offers the perfect combination: a massive young workforce, a fast-growing economy, and a strategic location in the Indo-Pacific. For Tokyo, investing in India is not just about profit, it's about building a counterweight to China and ensuring that the Indo-Pacific remains free, open, and democratic. Now let's talk about what's actually on the table. Reports suggest Japan is pledging nearly 10 trillion yen, or around $68 billion in fresh investment. That's not pocket change. That is one of the largest commitments Japan has ever made to India. These funds will flow into multiple sectors: infrastructure, clean energy, digital technology, manufacturing hubs, and high-speed rail. Japan is already a key player in India's ambitious bullet train project, connecting Mumbai and Ahmedabad. But this new wave of investment goes beyond trains. It dives deep into supply chain resilience, ensuring that India becomes a global manufacturing hub that can rival China. For example, one major area is semiconductors. The world has learned a painful lesson during the pandemic. Without chips, industries collapse. Cars don't run, phones don't work, factories shut down. India wants to become a semiconductor hub, but it needs the know-how and the initial push. Japan, with its advanced technology and decades of expertise, is the ideal partner. A big chunk of this investment is expected to go into joint ventures, R&D centers, and chip-making plants in India. Imagine the impact: millions of jobs, reduced dependence on imports, and India emerging as a key player in the global tech supply chain. Another area is clean energy. Modi has made big promises: net zero by 2070, massive expansion of solar and wind, and leadership in green hydrogen. But building this green future requires investment, and lots of it. Japan is bringing not just money, but also technology: fuel cells, hydrogen storage systems, and next-generation battery solutions. With Japan's support, India can leapfrog into a green energy powerhouse, reduce its reliance on fossil fuels, and also position itself as an exporter of clean technology in the future. The third area is logistics and infrastructure. India's dream of becoming a $5 trillion economy cannot happen if goods are stuck in ports, highways are choked, or if supply chains are weak. Japan has already been deeply involved in building industrial corridors in India, like the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. But now, the vision is much bigger. Logistics hubs, megaports, special economic zones, and digital connectivity. By pouring billions into these sectors, Japan is helping India become more competitive globally and more self-reliant domestically. But beyond economics, this visit has an undeniable geopolitical dimension. Every handshake, every memorandum of understanding, every investment announcement is also a signal to China and the wider world. Modi's presence in Tokyo sends a clear message. India and Japan are deepening their alliance, not just bilaterally, but as part of the larger Quad framework, alongside the United States and Australia. Together, they form a powerful bloc that can shape the Indo-Pacific balance of power. For the average Indian citizen, though, what does this mean? Let's break it down in simple terms. It means more jobs. It means faster trains, better infrastructure, and cheaper, more reliable energy. It means more factories producing goods locally, rather than relying on imports. It means India becoming a magnet for global companies. And it also means a stronger rupee and more stability in the long run. Of course, there are challenges too. Critics point out that foreign investment is never free. It comes with conditions, influence, and sometimes political strings attached. Will Japan's role in India's economy become too large? Will domestic industries feel threatened? These are valid questions. But the Modi government is betting on a long-term partnership built on mutual respect and shared strategic interests. Japan is not just an investor, is a friend that has stood by India in good times and bad. From disaster relief to defense cooperation, the optics of this visit are equally important. Modi being welcomed in Tokyo, meeting Japanese leaders, touring industrial facilities, and signing agreements creates powerful visuals for domestic audiences. It shows him as a leader who is not just reacting to US tariffs, but proactively building alternatives. It reinforces his image as a global statesman who can bring home deals that directly benefit Indian citizens. In an election year or not, such optics matter enormously. And while the focus is on economics, let's not forget the defense angle. India and Japan have been steadily deepening their military cooperation. With joint naval exercises, intelligence sharing, and defense technology collaborations. A strong economic partnership only strengthens the security dimension. Together, India and Japan are signaling to China, the Indo-Pacific will not be dominated by one power. Democracies are uniting, both in security and economy. Looking ahead, the success of this visit will be measured not just by the size of the investment, but by how quickly it translates into results on the ground. Will factories actually be built? Will jobs actually be created? Will supply chains actually shift from China to India? These are the questions that will determine whether this trip is remembered as a turning point or just another diplomatic stopover. But make no mistake, the stakes are high and the potential is enormous. This is about India seizing the moment, about leveraging partnerships to rise as a true global power. And with Japan by its side, the future looks promising. The coming months will reveal how much of this promise turns into reality. But for now, as Modi engages in high-level talks in Tokyo, the message to the world is clear. India is ready. India is ambitious. And India is building alliances that will shape the future of the Indo-Pacific. This conclusion, then, is not just the end of a diplomatic trip. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where India positions itself as the indispensable partner in Asia, as the bridge between East and West, and as a rising economy that is ready to lead. The world is looking for stability, for reliability, and for nations that can be trusted with the future. By strengthening ties with Japan, India is sending the message that it is ready to shoulder that responsibility. As we look to the coming months and years, the real test will be in the execution. Will these investments translate into real factories, real jobs, and real growth? Will India be able to absorb and deploy Japanese technology at scale? Will supply chains truly shift from China to India in meaningful ways? These are the questions that will decide whether this trip is remembered as a turning point or just another headline. But if history is any guide, when India and Japan commit to a partnership, they do not move half-heartedly. They move with vision, with determination, and with a sense of shared destiny. The conclusion of this visit, therefore, should not be seen as an end, but as the starting line of a marathon toward a new era. An era where India stands taller, more confident, and more capable of shaping the global order. An era where India is not simply reacting to global pressures, but actively creating the solutions that the world needs. And so, as Prime Minister Modi leaves Japan, the message is clear. India is not waiting for opportunities, is creating them. India is not bowing to pressure, is rising above it. And with Japan at its side, India is preparing to build a future that is stronger, greener, and more resilient than ever before. The journey ahead will be challenging, but the direction is unmistakable. This is India's moment, and this visit to Japan may well be remembered as the spark that lit a new flame of partnership, prosperity, and power.